Hi guys, this is Günther Fellinger speaking here from Pax Europiana. I'm now in Vorarlberg. That's the most western federal state of Austria. That's directly at this beautiful corner here between southern Germany, Switzerland, neutral Switzerland. I'm actually not so much interested in neutrality, also in the NATO membership of Switzerland, because they are, not in the European Union first of all. But I'm very much interested in the NATO membership of Vorarlberg. This is very important. And Vorarlberg, of course, all Austria, all 9 federal states to be united in NATO and to have this completion of Western integration of Austria, which started, of course, in 1960 when we joined EFTA, but then in 95, of course, with the EU. And then we were very lucky also then to be very successful in the EU. That is then somehow making the case for NATO membership a bit more complicated, because people are very rich and happy here, especially in Vorarlberg. They are very rich and very happy, and so they don't see the need for change. I understand also in the Western state there is this neutrality of Switzerland an issue. I will address this one as well. And I say very clearly, that Austria is a EU member, so we must be in solidarity with the other EU members if they are attacked, but if we carry the costs. And as 97% of EU members are secured in NATO, it's very logical that we also join NATO, and there is no real reason. The only ones in Austria who are advocating actively for neutrality, very often, of course, the extreme left, extreme right, that you see very well, the ones who are on the Putin's payroll, but obviously you see also the former government ministers. They are all very much for neutrality because they lived in that system and they got very rich in that system. Because also Austria, of course, is the prime hub for Russian energy in Central Europe, and that was very lucrative for many years. So why to change a very lucrative system for few and not for the many? And as we see, overall costs, when you add the cost of the war and all the disaster, they are huge. And of course, that's very deeply problematic. So I made now this tour. I'm now in the western part of Austria. The idea is to promote the idea of NATO membership. I will talk mostly in German, obviously, and I will just inform also my international audience about what I'm doing. So the logic is we have 9 federal states. I have visited now Steiermark, Upper Austria, Salzburg. I have been in most of the, where I have in Innsbruck I have been in Carinthia, and I still have to go to Burgenland. By the way, Mr. Orban had this scarf yesterday. Did you follow that one? That was really quite spectacular, because he also included Burgenland, our most eastern province. Province, I don't like the term, federal state. But he, he is gone bonkers, really. Anyhow, I still have to go to Lower Austria, St. Pölten. That's very important because there are regional elections. I will try to go there. And I will also then go to Eisenstadt, and now I have this tour where I also include Southern Tyrol, because that's very dear to my heart. It's not our 10th federal state just to get, it's part of Italy, and it's part of NATO, and it's part of EU, and they are insofar, that's also one of the reasons why this conflict was settled, because of American support and Italian NATO membership and EU membership. And then the situation got much more reasonable, because the situation was very bad, of course, in Tyrol. But now the situation is much better, and of course I think the logic is that also for the German speakers in Italy, it will be much better if we are in the same defense alliance. And obviously it's much better for NATO if there is Austria also in NATO, because of the overflight and transit rights, and also the bigger moral questions which are so important. I'm a little bit, yesterday I thought one other argument, because I'm trying to collect all the arguments, but one other really very decisive argument why Austria and also Kosovo and Bosnia and Ukraine, because that's my political platform. I want all 4 countries to join together. More are welcome as well. But the one thing is, who is opposing this is always the same. It's Russia and Serbia. So NATO is very much about our relation with Russia and Serbia. They are sadly on the other side. Russia is now completely, I think, for everybody to see what my friends in Eastern Europe told me already in the 90s, what I knew already in the 90s, but I didn't want to believe it. And I started to believe it in the 2000s when Putin returned. and all the European appeasers, not all of them, some of them are still want to appease Russia, but all of them, they learn very hard now in 2022, the ones who didn't learn in 2014. Russia is very dangerous power on the east of Europe, and it must be dismantled ultimately because it's very dangerous, and we need NATO to keep the Americans in to defend us because we are defenseless. And that's the short version of it. And of course, we have this situation also with Serbia. And as you have seen yesterday in St. Petersburg, there was a big Russian-Serbian presentation with this long, 600-meter long Russian-Serbian flag. And I see also what I see on my Twitter feeds, because when I make the proposal for peace with Serbia, that means in Serbia to get the euro as currency immediately for the for the recognition of Kosovo, I got a lot of negative feedback, but I got a lot of interest as well, and thanks a lot. Interest is also a currency in today's attention-seeking world. So my peace proposal for the Balkans is very clear. Euroize all countries, start with our friends, Albania, Macedonia and Bosnia, offer them the euro as currency like we have it in Kosovo and in Montenegro, and then also bring them into the European Union if they are NATO allies very fast, Albania, Macedonia, Montenegro, and then obviously bring them in NATO if they want to join NATO, Bosnia and Kosovo, and don't take any consideration for Serbia. If they want to do war, we have the means to defeat them. And so that's the membership of Kosovo and Bosnia, countries which we anyhow secure militarily already. And so that's basically the idea. Then we have a peace agreement, and that's the way to do it. I think it's very simple. Sorry, that's the thing now with peace in the Balkans. And for Ukraine, I will also make the case again and again and again. And I was happy that the Georgian president now on Hard Talk made the case and the reference to the situation in Western Germany. Western Germany became a NATO member in 1955, so Ukraine can become a NATO member in 2023. Of course, the borders will be only the defense borders, the defense parameter borders will be only what Ukraine controls ultimately, but we can promise that we don't allow any further territorial takeovers of Russia. That's very simple. It's maybe a new formula, a specific Ukrainian model, but we can say very much if you take Ukraine any further than where you are by July 2023, or let's say 1st of June, then there should be also a military retaliation, and that's very clear, and that's what needs to be done. Good, that's my concept for NATO. I will now then wait for the media event to start, and I will post then also the German video. And thanks a lot for your support. Also, by the way, my new Irish friends, please support Ireland in NATO, and let's work together to get this done. Austria, Malta, Cyprus, Austria obviously, Kosovo, Bosnia, Ukraine, all together in NATO in 2023. Thanks a lot, all the best, bye.